Because we get tens and tens of emails every year about our negative viewpoint of the Sonic series, we here at XPlay will strive to create a fairly positive review of Sonic Colors for the Wii, starring everyone's favorite Azure rodent. I mean, Blue Hedgehog. Colors takes our hero on a trip to a nefarious carnival created by Dr. Eggman. It's up to you to save the aliens being held hostage for their powers by using their powers for yourself. Yes, it's a story better left on the floor of Friedberg and Seltzer offices. Better left in /fiction forums. What fans of the series have come to expect.
I know I say that every time, but this time really, nothing will stop me.
Remarkably, this is one of the best looking Sonic titles to grace the Wii, which is like saying it doesn't remind me of a clown in a blender. It doesn't make my eyes bleed as much. That the development team finally put some of those creative juices that they've been hoarding on the shelves into designing rather interesting environments like industrial Candylands. And maybe I was roughed up by a TSA agent a little too much, but even the writing seems to have improved.
Either being used for their magical powers by an evil man, or to make underwear to be worn by Salad.
Unfortunately, creative juice doesn't go nearly as far as it once did, since so many of the levels are about as boring as watching The Mentalist. C-SPAN 2. Slightly more entertaining than Skyline. It's these wisp aliens that can give Sonic new powers or completely transform him into something new. Too many stages, however, are based around these slow, clunky, counterproductive powers that work against the main mechanics the series is so noted for: speed and platforming. Perhaps the one thing that Sonic Colors gets right is being the most 2D, 3D game on the Wii.
I find that hard to believe.
So when the game is not boring, not slow, actually acting like a Sonic game, fans of the series might just find a glimmer of hope in this beautiful mess. That's why we're giving Sonic Colors a 3 out of 5.
Everybody just relax. What may be the most anticipated game of 2008 is here. Yes, but that's no reason to get all excited and crazy. It's not like Super Smash Bros. Brawl is the most ridiculously extensive piece of fan service to ever hit a video game console, as well as a kick-ass fighting game. Well, that's exactly what it's like. Okay, get excited. Super Smash Bros. Brawl is quite simply everything anyone could love about Nintendo rolled into one ridiculously jam-packed game. From the huge character roster, to the inventive new stages, to the extensive adventure mode, it's everything Melee was, but bigger and better. The base game remains the same. 2 to 4 Nintendo characters beat the living hell out of each other. Knocking an opponent off screen will kill them and score you a point. Highest score or last man standing wins. The formula works and the balance remains as tight as always. Other than a slight speed reduction, this is the same gameplay that has made the Smash Bros. Series a perennial favorite. The one major addition is the Final Smash. Each character has a super duper finishing attack that can be unleashed with the use of a Smash Orb. These attacks are over the top, deadly, and add a lot to a match. A well-timed Final Smash can change the course of a game. For the friendless, there's the added bonus of near-flawless online play. Brawl's most important new feature works like a charm, and is so lag-free, it's hard to tell you're not playing with people on your couch. Lurking on the solo side is the Subspace Emissary, an expansive adventure for 1 or 2 players that takes you through the rudimentary storyline of the game. This 8 to 10 hour romp feels a little like Kingdom Hearts with all the cameos and crossovers going on. Conveniently, playing through this mode will unlock all the characters by the end of the tale, which is good for people who don't want to play hundreds of versus matches just to unlock their favorite fighters. And of course you have the event challenges, classic mode, the stage editor, hundreds of trophies and stickers to collect, dozens of music tracks to unlock. There's enough content in Brawl to keep you busy for months, if not years. Clearly, even in this era of minigame collections and voting channels, Nintendo has not forsaken the hardcore. Super Smash Bros. Brawl opens 5 cans of whoop-ass out of 5. In 1992, Nintendo dropped Mario is Missing for the PC, and it was later ported to the NES and Super Nintendo. If you were to make a list of what's fun about Mario, it would include running, jumping, and wearing vaguely erotic animal suits. This game includes none of those things. Mario is Missing is an educational game designed to teach school children about geography, and it's about as fun as it sounds. How fun is that exactly? Well, it's approximately as enjoyable as being kicked in the groin while playing Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. Mario is missing, and so is the fun. Which brings us to Yoshi's Cookie, an apathetic puzzle game that Nintendo regurgitated onto the Game Boy and NES in 1992. First off, having a male dinosaur who craps out eggs is a stupid idea. Secondly, this is a bad Dr. Mario ripoff. Your goal is to mix and match cookies to achieve the highest score possible. Honestly, Nintendo, a cookie party? Why don't you just ask players to wear a dress? Gamers needed this like a diabetic needs an Andes mint milkshake with lard on top. But as bad as that was, the most egregious abortion ever spawned for the Mushroom Kingdom is Luigi's Mansion. When Nintendo launched the GameCube in 2001, players were greeted not with the Mario game, but with a Luigi game. That's sort of like going to a Rolling Stones concert, only to find out Rascal Flatts is filling in. It was impossible to play the game without constantly being reminded of what we really want for a system launch. A new Super Mario adventure where we can explore a trippy fantasy universe. Instead, we get his low-energy younger brother sucking up ghosts with a vacuum. But even though these games blew and sucked, Mario mistakes are actually quite few and far between. And for that, we're thankful.
Here we go!
Metroid Other M seemed to hold promise when it was first announced, but now it has arrived, and holy crap, it sucks for so many reasons. Hang on tight, Metroid fans, this is gonna hurt. The story is a far bigger part of the game than in any previous Metroids, and it's a big part of the problem. The conspiracy side of the tale is just fine, but mostly it's concerned with Samus and her vast, sweeping insecurities related to her past. Samus's characterization in Other M is absolutely unacceptable, and frankly insulting to her fans in general and female fans specifically. This woman has saved the galaxy half a dozen times over, and she's standing around moping over this Adam guy in long, droning monologues that sound less like the most badass bounty hunter in known space and more like a 12-year-old girl reading her journal.
Confession time.
Don't come around if you're lost until you consider what it will cost. You pull me down.
You. This is one of the strongest and non-sexualized female characters in gaming, and now she's constantly showing us her ass and mooning over this utterly personality-free Adam guy. She's so submissive to him that the reason you don't have your power-ups in the beginning is not because she doesn't have her power-up abilities, but because she decides not to use them until Adam says it's okay.
Sam, I'm authorizing missile use.
Dude, you couldn't even open the front door without Samus's help. The third-person action is a blend of Ninja Gaiden and Metroid and works pretty well, aside from the inconsistent auto-aim that's forced on you. First-person view is the only way to shoot missiles and scan things, and you're stuck standing still during this. The problem is that you control third-person with the Wiimote held sideways, and first-person by rotating the Wiimote and pointing it at the screen. So there is always a moment of, wait, where's my reticle, every time you switch to first-person. Boss battles basically consist of finding enough time to switch to first person and fire off a missile without being creamed. But hey, if you run low on health or missiles, you no longer have to kill enemies to replenish them. You just hold the A button and concentrate, and your health and missiles refill. Yes, Samus gets more missiles by thinking about it really hard. It's stupid. Metroid Other M is a giant pulsing morass of bad decisions. 2 massive thumbs down out of 5.
Since its debut 15 years ago on the SNES, the StarFox franchise has blasted its way to Nintendo icon status, along with the likes of Mario, Link, and that robot from Gyromite. Okay, maybe not him. Well, guess who's back in the motherfucking house with a fat R-wing for your motherfucking mouth? Yep, the StarFox team is back, except not all up in your mouth like I said. This time, Nintendo is bringing them to your DS in StarFox Command. Fox and his crew have returned, only this time, things are a little different. The StarFox team has been disbanded and scattered across the universe. Falco is brooding, Slippy is getting his toad thingy frogified, and Fox is let to traverse the galaxy with his nubile young ward, Rob, the robot.
Did somebody say space and foxes?
Folks, it's former Senator and American hero, John Glenn.
Prepare for blast off, Adam, my man. This game looks like a one-way rocket to sexy Animal Island.
Mr. Glenn, I'm not sure if this is really appropriate.
Don't rocket block me, Sessler. I went to Comic-Con. I know what's what.
I'm hanging up.
I'm talking about furries, Adam.
There are a lot of things that set this title apart from its predecessors. For starters, you control the plot through a sort of choose-your-own-adventure style interface, allowing you to tailor your own path to arrive at one of several different endings. Oh, should I find Falco or track down Pappy? Oh, what's an anthropomorphic space ranger to do? StarFox Command also returns this franchise to its roots. Space combat. No more awkward missions on foot. This time around, Fox and friends are all about in-flight ass-kickery.
Adam, question.
What is it, Mr. Glenn?
How realistic is the space flight in this game?
Oh, well, I mean, it's not a simulator by any means, but...
Hey, that's great. Now, which one of those hot-to-trot furries is a chick? I'm not in it for the dudes, brother.
I'm hanging up.
My furry name is Mousy McCheesepaws.
The change that's going to take the most getting used to is flight control. Instead of using the directional button, your R-Wing is totally stylish controlled. Wait, it's not as bad as it sounds. In fact, it's not bad at all. Sliding the stylus around on the touchscreen / mission map will cause your ship to dip, dive, and slippity-slide with relative ease. Sure, barrel rolls might be tricky at first, but no one said animal-based space combat was going to be a cakewalk. StarFox fans, rejoice. This game returns the franchise back to what made it great in the first place. Fast, fun, space combat.
Adam, I'm turning over a new leaf.
Oh no.
From now on, it's all about the robo-love, baby. Coitus roboticus, my man. I got the robot from Gyromite here with me.
Well, I'm just happy he found work. StarFox Command gets a 4.
Mousy McCheesepaws.
Out of 5.
Nice.
The Wii's life ends as it began, in Hyrule. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword may well be the last major release for the best-selling console of the generation. If so, at least you can't say it didn't go out with a flourish. Skyward Sword takes place before all the other Zelda games, if that actually somehow matters. In this version of the legend, a goddess has split the world into the airborne land of Skyloft, where Link, Zelda, and their friends live, and the legendary surface, which nobody has seen for generations. As you might expect, Link is a bright-eyed youth with a crush on the girl with the old-fashioned name, even if she can be a bit pushy sometimes. Skyloft is an idyllic place that is unlike just about any other location in the Zelda series. The inhabitants get around using birds called loftwings, and the best of the best get to be Knights of Skyloft. Being a knight mainly seems to consist of telling people they can't fly at night, but you gotta have goals in a small town. Naturally, right after Link passes the test to become a knight and starts making some headway with Zelda, she gets sucked into a windstorm of pure evil and vanishes. So Link suits up in the conveniently familiar knight outfit to track her down. And wouldn't you know it, he turns out to be some kind of chosen one. He picks up the goddess sword, which is imbued with an analytical artificial intelligence named Fi. She lacks the charm of Midna from Twilight Princess, but she'd clean up on Skating with the Stars. The world of Skyloft and the surface is pretty to look at and very cleverly crafted, but it is not without its flaws. The overworld of the sky is open, and you can fly around in it as much as you like, but there's not really much to do up there besides enjoy the smooth flight controls using the Wiimote Plus. The surface is packed with puzzles and dungeons, but it's shockingly small. There are only 3 main areas, and you'll retread old ground many times over the course of the game. It's still a long game, but some of that length is definitely padding, and it feels smaller and linear as a result. Still, it's Zelda, and the story and setting are mostly there to serve the gameplay, which is fine, since the gameplay part is pretty great. We'll get to that in part 2 of our review.
we'll admit it, we were a little skeptical of The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword's heavy reliance on motion controls. Would they enhance the game or knock it flat on its back? I'm happy to report that the controls are so good, it actually came as a bit of a shock, like a surprise bird in your window. Skyward Sword significantly changes up how you interact with Link. Most prominently, his sword is controlled by the Wiimote, and in fact you can move it around one-to-one, which is surprisingly satisfying. Actual swings lock the sword into one of 8 preset attack animations, but this is used to the game's advantage. Many enemies demand precise use of the sword's angles. In fact, the first boss will actually take your sword away if you're too sloppy about it. He also does this really creepy tongue thing. You will have to become skilled at using the Wii Motion Plus with precision to succeed, and this is a very welcome level of challenge. Link also picks up a large arsenal of gadgets and tools, many of which are not new to the series, but you've never controlled them like this before. Each has a distinct and solid feel, and using them is never frustrating. Dungeon design is top quality, and many of the puzzles you encounter make direct use of the motion controls, like these eyes you have to make dizzy by swinging your sword in a circle. Some elements are bogged down by that padding problem, though. Link's shield can now break if it's overused, forcing you to run back to the Skyloft store to buy another one. You'll also collect a bunch of crafting items, which are used to upgrade items in a grindy and not fun crafting system that doesn't really seem to fit in a Zelda game. If all Wii titles had motion control integration this seamless and smooth, a lot of the complaints about the system would have never come up. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword gets a 4 out of 5.
I'm here on the scene.
Welcome to Pokemon Channel, Nintendo's newest Pokemon game. You play a crack television tester. The good folks down at the Pokemon Channel sent you a TV, and your job is to watch it. Actually, your job is to watch your Pikachu watch TV. The thing is, there's not really that much on. There are episodes of an insipid cartoon called Pichu Brothers in Party Panic.
Smooch 'em, smooch 'em, smooch 'em.
I think the pink one's horny. Since Pokemon only say their names ad nauseum, you spend the whole time reading subtitles. Well, at least the kids are learning to read. There's the quiz channel, though I didn't seem to know any of the answers. Can I get a lifeline from the 8-year-olds in the audience? This is the egg hatching channel. You watch it for 5 minutes until the egg hatches. No, I'm not kidding. On this channel, you wait until the weather changes. May I point out that at no time are you required to hit any buttons? Oh, and for those of you who don't know, hitting buttons is what makes something a video game. This is the relaxation channel, because I'm not bored enough. You have to watch these boring, ridiculous shows all the way through. Then you have to wait until the next day to get new shows, which is also known as resetting your system clock. In case you're wondering where the game part comes in, it doesn't. You literally watch your Pikachu watch TV. The shopping channel could count as slightly interactive. Ooh, a turd doll. God, Pikachu's gonna want it. Pikachu wants you to buy him everything he sees on TV. He's like having a bratty child.
Squirtle.
Squirtle sounds like he's on the losing end of a 40-year smoking habit.
Squirtle.
You can take screen captures and color them in, then sell them at auction or have them discussed on the art show. Or you could buy a coloring book and some crayons. That would be funner and cheaper. Yep, that's about as interactive as it gets. You can go outside with Pikachu and meet other Pokemon. You can make Pikachu water your garden or look at certain landscape features, but mostly, Pikachu wants to watch TV and buy things. The whole experience of watching something watch TV feels like some bizarre comment on society that needs further study. But not for $40 and not by me. Pokemon Channel gets a 1 out of 5 for not actually being a video game.
Into every life, a little Kirby must fall.
Back in my day, I wrote 17 books a week and Kirby's wife on the side.
No, not that Kirby. This Kirby. This isn't Kirby's first foray into the DS world. That happened with Kirby Canvas Curse. But the cult of Kirby wasn't too pleased with that bad boy. They want their old friend Kirby, the familiar platforming Kirby, comfort food Kirby. And that's what Kirby Squeak Squad is all about. Kirby's not trying to trick you or complicate things. Kirby don't play that way. You know the drill. Running around, this away, that away, all sorts of power-ups. Just oodles of good-natured Kirby-esque fun. The Kirby you've always wanted. But is it the Kirby Kirby's always wanted? Poor Kirby. Nobody's faced bigger adversity than Kirby. Not the Marshall football team, not Pluto, not Philip Seymour Hoffman. Nobody. Kirby just wants to enjoy a cool and creamy piece of cheesecake. Lord knows he's earned it. But life, as it does, gets in the way. Some mysterious mystery swoops by and steals Kirby's snick-snack. You just don't do that to Kirby. It's on now. And that leads Kirby into his latest adventure, the search for cheesecake. But who took the cheesecake? You'll have to play the game to find out. This ain't no spoiler theater. But it is a power-up theater with over 20 to choose from. And these powers run the gamut. Fire, ice, swords, magic, metal, and, Cupid. Why Cupid? Why not Cupid? Now, lest we forget, this is a DS game. So Kirby, Kirby, Kirby. Can't you see sometimes your screens just hypnotize me? The action is all up on the top screen. The bottom screen stores all the power-ups. A jambalaya or hodgepodge, if you will, of power-up and goodness. Think of it as Nicole Richie's stomach constantly regurgitating. The game is short. Kirby doesn't like to waste your time that way. It's not adding much to the Kirby milieu. And the mini-games are so inconsequential, we shouldn't even mention them. Even though we just did. So if you're looking for something new or innovative, this really isn't the place. It's Kirby. He's like a bowl of chicken soup from your third favorite deli. Good. Not great, but good. Kirby Squeak Squad gets 3 same old Kirbys. Out of 5.
Put down that soda and get your hand out of the bag of cheese puffs. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat is here, and the only way to play this GameCube exclusive is with the DK bongos you haven't used since Donkey Konga. Hit the right bongo to move DK in that direction. Hit the left bongo to make him go left. Bang both bongos together to make him jump, and clap or yell to activate the sound sensor to make him dive, or duck, or grab. Oh, did I forget to mention that in order to keep Donkey Kong moving, you have to keep hitting the bongos. And if you clap or yell while you hit the bongos, it enables Donkey Kong to perform all kinds of moves. The more you hit and shout, the faster things happen. Wow, this must be what it feels like to be Ike Turner. I haven't played the bongos this much since my freeform expressionistic beatnik poet days. Donkey Kong D. K. Why am I so out of breath? Why do my arms feel like spaghetti? Jungle Beat is one of the most purely fun games to come around on any system in a long time. The graphics are colorful and funky. Each level offers up a variety of new and cool features. And every end-of-the-line bad guy has a unique weakness that you have to figure out in order to beat him. The only real negative is that you can play through the entire game in one 3 or 4 hour sitting. Of course, that would mean 4 straight hours of hitting, clapping, screaming, and banging. And if you have the stamina for that, then you're too busy right now on tour drumming for Motley Crue to be playing video games. Donkey Kong D.K. Donkey Kong. Thanks to you, my asthma has come back. Thanks to you, my biceps are beginning to grow. Thanks to you, I can now open the heavy door with one hand. Oh, thank you, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong. Sure, you can play Jungle Beat without the bongos if you really want to, but that's like watching Goodfellas with all the blood and bad words edited out. You get the essence of what it's about, but you lose everything that makes it awesome. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat is easy to learn, cool to look at, and fun to play. Landing at a... out of...
After spending hours researching the whimsical Japanese script development archives, we're here to report that we still have no freaking idea about the relation, if any, Wario has to Mario. The game's story has a porn-like simplicity, explaining that every creature Wario encounters is representative of a piece of his former financial empire. All his booty has been turned into demons because of his need for a giant possessed gemstone. But hey, who gives a squirrel's nuts about the backstory? Let's look at some of the planks of this classic platformer. Wario World has the tiny title character using his dupes, extorting money from Wario World's locals with pummeling punches and an array of badass super moves. The game does boast some three-dimensionality, but the camera view for the most part remains on the side and Wario's path is still fairly restricted. This may sound tedious, but the challenge is to make pinhead-precise moves as you gather the all-too-familiar crystals, artifacts, and statue pieces. Our vertically challenged anti-hero has some highly entertaining martial arts moves that keep packs of baddies floored. Once you've stunned larger enemies, pick them up and apply the wild swing ding move. The corkscrew conk is another lethal combo move with good financial return on your button-mashing investments. Wario's money suction move comes off like Anna Nicole Smith in search of a bonbon and a scotch. It will come in handy, however, when you need to collect cash quickly and be on your way. The 8 supplied levels in Wario World do have some clever interactive qualities. Oh, there's a problem we noticed. There's only 8 levels. In Spooktastic World's wonky circus, our apparent childhood fear of clowns is exploited. Looky here, they're trying to entertain me to death. In order to gather necessary objective items, you must maneuver some extremely challenging obstacle courses. Here's where camera adjustment and precision jumping will get your ass cashed and on your way. Level-ending showdowns with boss adversaries are pretty much a question of learning weak spots and figuring out all too predictable behavior patterns. The levels are fairly large, but what you're asked to accomplish is pretty much the same. It's simply disguised in another level. There won't be any careful, that's my jaw on the floor moments of game design. But the game controls are highly responsive, and the pace was, at times, like a one-man band running from a flock of wild parrots. Wario World's problem is that it's over far too quickly and far too easily. Serious platformers will be able to dispense with it in an afternoon. Our advice is to rent. Don't run to buy this title unless your Mario Wario collection won't be complete without it. Our rating, 3 out of 5.
At long last, the core stable of GameCube titles is complete. They've got Mario, Metroid, Zelda, and now Mario Kart. And let me tell you right now, Double Dash was worth the wait. This game has one big innovation that's immediately apparent. Now there are 2 riders on each cart. The characters take turns driving and launching devastating attacks on the competition. Okay, maybe devastating is a bit extreme. But all the classic attacks are here. Turtle shells, banana peels, and turbo mushrooms all bring you back to a time when gaming was about shrinking your opponents with a well-placed thunderbolt rather than whacking prostitutes with a bat. In addition, each character has their own fancy new weapon. Mario and Luigi have fireballs. Yoshi has an exploding egg. Donkey Kong has the Mega Banana of Doom, and so on. The addition of an extra rider gives Mario Kart a dash of strategy absent in previous incarnations. It won't affect your driving much. The characters have the same simple, elegant driving style we all remember fondly. Some characters are heavier than others, though. For example, racing with baby Mario and Luigi will give you quicker acceleration, whereas Wario's Pimpin' Caddy has better top speed. But the real difference is in the combat. Twice the riders, twice the weapons, twice the boom! Time for a giant spiky shell smackdown. Winning races will unlock new carts, most of which are slight upgrades of standard carts. For example, here's the Princess Buggy, now in fashionable taupe. Also unlockable are these special cup courses, which kind of sounds like a cod piece for the short bus set, but we still love this trip-tastic Rainbow Road. And what would a Mario Kart game be without the excellent multiplayer options? Double Dash has a whole slew of them. Play with a friend in the 2-player co-op mode, or go head-to-head in 2 to 4-player races and battles. Of course, since it's a Nintendo game, there's no online support. Yeah. But you can link up to 8 GameCubes in a LAN for 8-player goodness. Mario Kart Double Dash easily lives up to the glory of its predecessors and serves as a perfect example of what a Nintendo game should be. Easy to pick up, with just enough challenge to keep you coming back for more. And the multiplayer options will provide hours of entertainment for you and your kin. We give Mario Kart Double Dash a power-sliding, egg-tossing, butt-smacking 5 out of 5.
Wahoo! I'm the winner!
They're cute, they're furry, they battle to the death for your amusement. So what do you do when you've already caught them all? Catch them all again in Pokemon Emerald, Nintendo's remix of the Sapphire and Ruby Pokemon games. You can fight Pokemon, and capture Pokemon, and win badges to fight more Pokemon. And there you go. If you love Pokemon, play it. If you don't, keep living your life the best you can. I finished the review already. They're Pokemon. You catch them and you fight them. Ryan, it's not like we can't just run the last Pokemon review. Let's see. The box is new. It's green. It has the new Pokemon Raikou? Snaky. That's it, Snaky. This name thing is easy. The story goes something like this. You're a boy or girl who blah, 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 and then must save the world from blah, 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 and then you become King Trainer or something. The story doesn't matter. Capture Pokemon and battle them. Emerald lets you take on both Team Magma and Team Aqua in one game. Why don't they just eviscerate you with a laser or punch you in the face instead of sending out more Pokemon? The newest addition to Emerald is the Battle Frontier. There you'll find the Battle Pike, the Battle Dome, the Battle Factory, the Battle Arena, the Battle Palace, and the Battle Pyramid. No, I'm not making this up. You'll need to beat the game first just to get a glimpse of the pastel-ravaged soil. Pokemon now sport 2 frames of action. With the 2-on-2 duels, that's a whole 4 frames of the most in-your-face Pokemon action seen since the last Pokemon game. The game gives you a lot of little new bonuses, but let me give you an example. This is my desk. This is my desk with a Pokemon. Like the added little bonuses in the game. It's nice, but it doesn't change anything. What else is new? Contests. They're not really all that new, but they're back. Pokemon packs one of the most robust RPG engines in a plush toy. With over 360 Pokemon to choose from, you have an infinite amount of variations when it comes to moves, stats, and strategy. Hidden values, such as happiness and IV, can change how or what Pokemon evolve into. The breeding system alone would make Gregor Mendel wet himself. What? I wouldn't waste a Watson and Crick joke on a Pokemon game. The problem is you can play through the game without touching the deeper fluff. Unless you're looking forward to hours of walking, attacking, walking back to town, and healing, this game is not for you. If you're the kind of guy who thinks your level 75 Tropius can so kick my Kombuskin around Hoenn, then you already have Ruby and Sapphire and you don't really need Emerald. Pokemon Emerald dishes out a solid gaming experience without bringing anything new to the plate. That's why we give it a 3 out of 5.
Metroid Prime Hunters is probably the most highly anticipated thing outside of a cure for genital herpes. A demo teased fans when it was first released with the DS, but now gamers are finally getting relief for that long-time itch. I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings, but this title doesn't quite live up to its long-awaited release. I think the gameplay experience found in Metroid Prime Hunters is best described as a left-handed happy ending. Sure, you get what you came for, but it still feels a little awkward. I'm speaking, of course, of the controls. Once you get the hang of them, they're smooth and innovative. Until then, however, you will be cursing the touchscreen deities as you try to move Miss Oran around with a combination of the stylus and the D-pad.
Ah, damn it!
But once they get past that, players reprise the role of Samus Aran. everybody's favorite heroine. This time, she's on the hunt for a little something I like to call Ocotoliths. I'm not exactly sure why she's after them or what it is they do, but I do know this: Ocotoliths are awesome. When I finally find an Ocotolith, I pity those who have crossed me. The single-player campaign isn't the game's strongest point, although the graphics are very solid for a DS title. The level design is lazy and repetitive. Hey, is it just me, or does that boss look like my neighbor's dog when he's happy to see me? No Metroid game would be complete without Morph Ball mode, and you bet this Metroid game is complete. Man, that reminds me of a giant game of Labyrinth. Before high-tech handheld systems like the DS, we used to look forward to the ego-crushing excitement of games like Labyrinth and Simon. New generation wires have no idea. Anyway, the multiplayer aspect is a lot like an Ocotolith. Pretty awesome. Gamers have the option to place any of the bosses and rage against their friends in the standard battle modes. Unfortunately, there are no Ocotoliths. Consider yourselves lucky. All in all, this title delivers a solid gameplay experience, but still fails to live up to the heightened expectations. The multiplayer feature is very nice, but the single-player campaign seems like it must have been an afterthought. In the end, we give Metroid Prime Hunters 3 Ocotoliths out of 5.
We loved Metroid Prime. It probably would have been our game of the year back in 2002. Well, if we had such a thing back then. Now it's 2 years later, and Samus is back on the cube, and she's a little older, but not much wiser. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes begins with Samus doing her duty as an intergalactic bounty hunter by investigating a lost patrol of space police on the planet Aether. When she gets there, surprise, surprise, her ship craps out, leaving her stranded. She eventually stumbles upon the lost patrol's ship, where she finds that bad things have happened. For someone who's supposed to be a savvy bounty hunter, Samus sure has a poor memory. Time after time she investigates a problem, only to have her powers taken away. How about next time you leave the hardware on the ship until you know what's going on, girl? And alas, in Echoes, it happens once again, and Samus sets out to recover her abilities while trying to solve the mystery. And of course, what would a Metroid mystery be without space pirates? And yes, they've also returned, but they're not the only menace on Aether. And then there's Dark Samus, who obviously isn't a girl. No female would be caught dead in the same outfit. Aether has been split into 2 planes of existence, a dark side and a light side. The toxic dark side is ruled by an evil race called the Ing. Squaring off against foes in the dark world is annoying, because Samus must stay under protective umbrellas or lose extra health. The light-dark mechanic is more irritating than innovative, and many times you'll have to pull a carry and flip-flop from one world to another just to solve a simple puzzle. And this brings up another issue with Echoes. There's simply too much backtracking. You'll get a message with a new objective, and then you'll have to open the map and try to figure out how to get there. The first handful of hours is truly a blast as things roll along at an incredible clip. But eventually, you'll be spending a lot of time running through the same areas over and over again, looking for the one door that hasn't been opened. Yeah, we know this is how Metroid works. But if this series is ever going to compete with the Halos and Grand Theft Autos, this has to change. Hey, man used to think the world was flat. Otherwise, Metroid Prime 2 is just as good as the first. The attention to detail is second to none. You get some new gadgets to fiddle around with, and there's also an increased emphasis on the Morph Ball, which we love. And of course, the combat is sublime. We give it a 4 out of 5. been too long since we've heard that sound. You were teased at Space World 2000. You were frustrated by Wind Waker. So get ready to shut your whiny fanboy mouth. Meet The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess finds Link slumming it, but an evil force called the Twilight has to screw it all up. Suddenly the lives of the good folk of Hyrule hang in the balance. If only they hadn't cut defense spending. Life is hard out here for a Hyrulean pimp. Monsters cruise the hood, Zelda has lost her party girl status, and Link gets turned into a wolf. You'll walk the lonely road of puzzles, unexplored lands, and Mortal Kombat as only a Zelda game can. The wolf form of our hero of time has learned some new tricks. His wolf senses can sniff out buried treasures or track characters by scent. He also specializes in creative forms of breaking and entering. Link's canine self is part of a greater animal motif, from spanking a giant baboon to conversing with chickens. The Legend of Zelda has peddled the same items from game to game for nigh on 2 decades. But Twilight Princess manages to reinvent these tried and true tools. Let me just say, iron boots plus magnetic rock equals awesome. Much has been made of how Twilight Princess would function on the Wii. The motion-sensitive Wii controller comes into play during combat and projectile use. A simple shake of the controllers runs Link through his sword regimen. Arm the bow or claw shot and aim your Wiimote like a laser pointer. Fire with the trigger to unleash an express delivery of pain. The Wii integration is pretty flawless as long as you remember your sword isn't the A button anymore. Link has been schooled in the ways of badassery since his last outing. His sword work is vicious, including a kill move that is so satisfying. Give Ganon a message. Tell him I'm coming for him and hell's coming with me. The graphics are the chink in Twilight Princess's armor. It looks about as good as a high-end GameCube game, a stark difference from the next-gen graphical power the PS3 and 360 are vomiting forth. Gross. Somebody at Nintendo has seen Lord of the Rings several hundred times because Twilight Princess brings a Peter Jacksonian epicness to The Legend of Zelda. The game is long, with upwards of 40 hours of gameplay. There are tons of side quests to explore, and Hyrule's square mileage is large enough to make the Louisiana Purchase blush. Nintendo has pulled off gaming on a grand scale. If you need some man Link lovin', Twilight Princess is the game you've been waiting for. Swordplay, sniffing, switch work, it's got it all. Even a baboon smacking its own ass. The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess gets a 5 out of 5. Yes, it actually has been 14 years since StarFox 64 came out. Time flies when you're out there, living your life on the mean streets.
Trust your instincts.
But assuming you're ready to plunk down about $40, you can return to that furry galaxy where anthropomorphized animals are fighter pilots, if you're into that kind of thing. StarFox 64 3D is a pretty unambitious title, but it does a great job of delivering what many fans want, a faithful adaptation of a very good N64 game. It starts with a Star Wars-like text crawl.
Peppy barely escaped venom and returned home to tell James's son Fox about his father's fate.
Yeah, let's get on with it.
Fox has again invaded the Lilat system.
All right already! The main change to the game, beyond a forgettable local multiplayer mode, is that you can now use the 3DS's gyroscopic controls. That means tilting the 3DS will allow you to pilot your vehicle. It seems like an interesting concept, but the controls just aren't precise enough to work well. And when you move your handheld around, you frequently lose the 3D effect. Slippy is still incredibly femmy.
Slippy here. I'm okay. Whoa! Help me! Thanks, Fox. I thought they had me.
The characters' mouths still move way too fast.
You're the only hope for our world.
I'll do my best. Andros won't have his way with me.
And yes, they still advise you to do barrel rolls.
Do a barrel roll!
You're not my dad. Unfortunately, Nintendo really didn't make any additions that add much value, unless you're a total junkie for stereoscopic 3D.
My Emperor! I've failed you!
StarFox 64 3D gets a 3 out of 5.
The course of human history is strewn with the scars of conflict. And we would never have come so far if we hadn't been at each other's throats. But in a world where plump, innocent beasties fight in an endless proxy war, has so much ever rested on the shoulders of one young boy and his balls. Pokeballs, you perverts. Pokemon Colosseum is more what the fans want. More Pokemon, more battles, and more battles. It's like cockfighting without prison time. As your abilities grow, you can catch more powerful Pokemon. So, how do I know so much about Pokemon? Well, when it's time to throw down, no one gets it done like the Sessler. However, there are times when Pokemon aren't the weapon of choice, as my recent encounter with some gaming heavies illustrates.
Sessler, we want those cheat codes.
Yeah, well, you may want the cheat codes, but I'm not going to give them to you because I have Pokemon! Okay, not my best work. Social skills in the Pokemon world aren't very sophisticated. Case in point, they have battles instead of greetings. If you meet an enemy, you battle. And if you meet a friend, you battle. I think all these people went to the prom alone. The tone of the game is a touch edgier than earlier titles. See, you were part of a criminal gang of Pokemon poachers, but you betrayed your buddies and stole a special gadget that lets you capture Dark Pokemon. These Dark Pokemon have a special Hyper Mode, which makes their attacks more damaging. But they're so disobedient, they might attack your other Pokemon, or even you. You can purify these Maladroits by using turns in battle to heal them. Tactically, this is a compromise. Healing means they can level up and learn new moves, but leaves you at a disadvantage during the fight. The strength of the franchise is also its weakness. Pokemon Colosseum plays at the shallow end of the strategy pool, and most of the gameplay is spent navigating lists and menus. Pokemon fans will dig it, but then I don't really need to tell you that. Other gamers will get a good chance to try out the trademark rock, paper, scissors gameplay to see if it makes them swoon with delight. X-Play gives Pokemon Colosseum a 3 out of 5.
The fun of sucking and blowing is back. Seriously, it's not that funny. Kirby fans will be glad to know this game will take longer than a lunch break to finish. This time around, there are some muscles on our pudgy little hero. Using a Metroid-style interconnected world, Kirby's adventure becomes larger and more freeform than you'd expect from a Kirby game. The object of the game is simple. Kirby takes large enemies into his mouth by sucking as hard as he can. Grow up, guys. It's what he does. This allows him to steal their abilities, which will help you unlock more of the amazing mirror world. My favorite is the fire breath. The only problem with this is that you often have to steal a power and then travel several screens away to use it in the appropriate place, which takes forever. Overall, the gameplay is fun. It's everything you'd expect from a good platformer. However, as nice as it is to have a longer quest, the layout can be very confusing, making Kirby actually suck. Enough already. And what game marketed for preteens would be complete without a cell phone? Hello?
Hey girl, it's Kirby.
Hey, what you doing, Herb?
Just chilling in the amazing mirror. What you doing?
Reviewing your game.
Aw, snap. What you gonna give me?
I love you, Kirby, but you get a 3 out of 5.
This sucks and blows.
Flashback to 2005.
At that year's E3, Nintendo hinted that the Wii, which back then was called the Revolution, might launch with Metroid Prime 3. Well, that didn't happen.
You're late. We were about to leave you behind.
Metroid Prime 3 Corruption is the do-or-die game for the Wii. The most important indication hardcore gamers have that Nintendo's underpowered system can deliver an experience deep and rich enough to rival anything on the PS3 or 360. So, does it deliver? Well, the answer is yes. Mostly yes. The obvious upgrade are the reworked controls. You can use the Wii remote to aim directly at the screen. Like before, you can still lock onto your targets, but it seems like there's a bit more tendency to lose the lock. As a result, there's more responsibility on you to precisely aim at the targets you need to hit. You can't help but shake the feeling that this game would actually be easier to control competently with the GameCube controller. Unfortunately, that simply isn't an option.
That seems inefficient.
Also, using your left hand to fling your grappling hook in battle can sometimes get a bit hairy. But overall, the controls work pretty much as you'd expect them to. One other thing, don't expect to play for more than a couple of hours at a time. Any more than that, and you'll get some serious repetitive motion strains in your wrists.
Our situation doesn't look good.
The last time I got wrist cramps this bad, I had just purchased Charmed Season 4 on DVD, if you know what I mean. God, that was a good 30 minutes. Speaking of great stories, Metroid Prime 3 has, well, a pretty good story.
Identified as bounty hunter Samus Aran.
The Galactic Federation believes that the space pirates, rascally devils that they are, have corrupted a computer network known as the Aurora Unit.
There is no time for Samus.
Samus and a motley collection of other bounty hunters must battle the space pirates who are concurrently attacking the Federation base. Unfortunately, she becomes infected with Phazon, too much of which can lead to corruption. The other big addition is voice acting.
I'm sorry, but this requires my full attention.
Yes, now finally we know what Samus's friends sound like.
Space Pirate Grey is definitely not my style.
Maybe it was better when they were quiet.
Thanks, Sam.
It's nice that Samus isn't lonely this time out, but there's something strangely incongruous about these chatterboxers. I mean, would she really hang out with these guys?
These pirates are more fragile than they think.
Overall, though, this is a very satisfying conclusion to the Metroid Prime trilogy, and a worthy addition to the Wii's lineup. It may not silence detractors, but at least there's something on the system for people who have grown sick of Wii Sports. Of course, now that I've finished the game, I'm going to go play Wii Bowling. I love that game. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption gets a 4. Out of 5.
The year was 1994 when Donkey Kong Country first graced the Super Nintendo console. If you've been clamoring for another adventure with our Primate hero since then, don't worry. You can stow away that time machine because Donkey Kong Country Returns is finally here. Aside from a few caveats, fans have every reason to rejoice at how well the game captures what made platformers of the 16-bit era so much fun. When you start playing, you'll immediately recognize how reminiscent the game is of many of Nintendo's most memorable platformers. You start out by selecting levels within a variety of worlds with their own specific themes. From there, you embark on a side-scrolling romp collecting coins, puzzle pieces, letters of the name Kong, and of course, bananas. The levels are enjoyable enough that if you've missed any secret items before, revisiting levels becomes part of the fun. Eventually, you'll make your way to the end of each world where you'll fight a quirky but fairly challenging boss. It's familiar territory for sure, but that is definitely a good thing. While the game may look like a standard 2D platformer at first glance, Donkey Kong Country Returns improves the experience by using its 3D space well. Every now and then, the action moves from the foreground to the background and vice versa, adding depth to each level. On top of that, each world provides their levels with atmospheres both visually appealing and distinct from each other. Overall, it's an excellently crafted game. The only features holding this game back from a perfect score are its motion controls and its two-player co-op. In a game that requires split-second reactions, it's often distracting to have to stop and forcefully shake your controller just to perform a simple action. A button press would have sufficed just as well. Secondly, in co-op mode, If your partner has a penchant for dying, look forward to some short games as he or she will most likely drain the number of lives you both share. Sure, Donkey Kong Country Returns isn't entirely perfect, but it still possesses all the elements that any fan of the platforming genre will completely appreciate. If you love the original game or any other classic Nintendo platformer, this is definitely a solid buy. A 4 out of 5.
Oh, Wario, you're my kind of hero. Fat, boorish, and governed by your basest instincts. You're a big bag of it, and I wouldn't change you for the world. Get over here and give me a hug. Now I feel gross and smelly, but fulfilled. There's good news for all us Wario lovers out there. Nope, no one has announced a Wario movie starring Kevin James. Instead, everyone's favorite anti-hero has a new game for the DS, Wario, Master of Disguise. Master of Disguise has a story, but do you really need to know it? You're Wario, damn it! All you need to know is that there's treasure out there, and you gotta grab as much as you can. The first thing you pilfer is a magic wand that helps dress you up in a variety of costumes. To start off, you just get Thief Wario, but as you progress, you ultimately unlock a total of 8 disguises, from Cosmic Wario to Dragon Wario. Since this is the DS, there's a hefty amount of interactivity involved here. In order to switch back and forth, you have to draw various motions with your stylus. Cosmic Wario, for example, is triggered by drawing a space helmet around your head. Each outfit grants you different powers. Arty Wario helps you out by drawing blocks and doors. And by cutting off his own ear to give to the prostitute he loves. So what do you do with this closet full of costumes? Run around and steal stuff, naturally. You're really gunning for the treasure chests lying around, which, when you open them, start mini-games. If you beat them, each chest will grant you either a new costume or a trunk full of booty. The game also keeps track of every item you collect and enemy you beat for your perusal later. The descriptions of your ill-gotten gains are one of the best parts of Master of Disguise. Short, sweet, and hilariously funny. Master of Disguise is plenty of fun, the kind of game that really uses the DS to the best of its ability. Better yet, it's a Wario game, so you know it's chock full of mucophagic delight. We give Wario Master of Disguise a 4 out of 5. Hero with crazy hair? Check. Colorful environments filled with strange creatures? Check. An overwhelming urge to catch them all? We're still working on that one. As a continuation of the Colosseum series, Pokémon XD Gale of Darkness for the GameCube provides all the Pokémon battling, leveling up, and mind-numbing text you've come to expect from a Pokémon game. If you love to collect Pokémon the same way Tara Reid collects unemployment checks, then this game is for you. Set 5 years after the previous installment of Colosseum, the Cypher organization is back and do what all evil organizations do. Call during dinner, send angry letters to senators, and steal a cargo ship filled with Pokémon. These Rainbow Ribbon renegades have learned of a way to tame the shadow Pokémon. With the help of science and the breaking of child labor laws, your left arm has been given the power over the shadows. How convenient. Most Poké players will find this Vespa-filled adventure more developed than the usual fare. With this much work put into the story, you have to wonder, why couldn't any of the trainers get real names instead of rejects from an IKEA catalog? Game mechanics remain intact as you fight your little Pokémon up the food chain to gain experience. Lick, leer, and flambe your way through battles. Pokémon's rock, paper, scissors style of fighting makes sure that there's not one Pokémon to rule them all. As your Pokémon grow, you control their attacks and how they will change through evolution. Unless you live in Kansas. Then God chooses for you.
What? What?
Here's the good news. Pokémon XD does away with random battles. Roam free, little one. Fear not the screen of battle. The bad news? That means there are very few wild Pokémon to catch. Your army consists mostly of Eevee and whatever shadow Pokémon you can poach. Pokémon XD gives these furball's shady cousins a bit more respect. Shadow Pokémon have a range of powerful shadow attacks that can take down most non-shadow types. The more you use them, the more powerful they become. Occasionally, they go crazy, like... Oh, just pick one. The fact is that we've seen it all before in the last Colosseum game. Seen that place, seen that Pokemon, seen those giant lifeless eyes that cry out, "Why me?" Fine, just wanted to inject a little drama. Pokemon XD tries to add in that extra dimension with little things like Pokemon Bingo, Pokemon Challenges, and a new purification system. In the end, these minigames add little to the gameplay. Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness makes for a solid Poke experience for any Poke player, but doesn't add anything to the Poke game. That's why we give this Poke adventure a Poke 3 out of a Poke 5.
Give him a water gun. What, I'm too late? Oh,
Card battle games have spread through the industry faster than the clap in a fine Nevada bordello. This burgeoning evil of video games, simulating cards, simulating video games, has perverted gamers' minds, fostering the idea that imagination could one day replace years of sophisticated graphics programming. To fight this, X-Play now stalks a leading culprit of this mafia, Pokemon. With Nintendo's release of 2 Pokemon titles, FireRed and LeafGreen, it's time to stoke the scapegoat fires and declare, "From hell's heart I stab at thee." Now, into the breach. Pokemon fans are doubtless excited to have 2 new games to play. Sadly, I have to pop that little bubble for you. These games aren't new. They're remakes of the original Red and Blue Pokemon games. If you've already played those, what would motivate you into buying FireRed or LeafGreen? First, both games say they have new content. Technically, that's true. There are some islands that hold some new Pokemon. There's also TCTD, which offers demonstrations of how to play, but that doesn't change the fact that most of the content here is recycled. Everything old is old again. Second, don't be fooled by that Scylla and Charybdis of game marketing. Enhanced graphics and sound. Granted, it's the GBA. We're not expecting the world here, but come on. If this isn't an 8-bit retro thing, then I don't know what is. Oh, and the music? It won't win any Grammys either. Finally, both games include a wireless adapter that snaps onto your GBA. This surprisingly neat freebie lets you battle your friends without a link cable. And anything wireless is cool. Imagine the extra fun you'll have playing not from 3 feet away, but 10 feet away. Perhaps Nintendo realized that $30 for a remake is a little steep without some techno bling included. Just a theory. If you're a Pokemaniac, you'll probably get every Pokemon game no matter what. Both FireRed and LeafGreen are capable, if uninspired, remakes of earlier titles. Titles that spawned the herpetic outbreak of the card battle juggernaut. Both FireRed and LeafGreen get a 3 out of 5.
If there is one mustache-sporting, pot-bellied guy that's had more jobs than Ron Jeremy, it's definitely our old friend Mario. We're talking about a racer, athlete, dancer, janitor, paperboy. He's also high school guidance counselor, TV VCR repair, computer programming, child daycare, electrician, animal care specialist, auto mechanic, PC repair, bookkeeping, legal assistant. Damn you, Sally Struthers. Get out of my mind. But none of these jobs were what Mario really dreamed of doing. Well, in Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, Mario finally gets his wish. Meet Mario, the CEO of a successful toy company that manufactures wind-up miniature versions of Mario. We can also add Pimp to the resume because instead of having Princess Peach by his side, this time around he has Pauline, the original Donkey Kong damsel in distress. To make a long story short, Pauline gets kidnapped by Donkey Kong, and it's up to the portobello-popping plumber to rescue her. Does Mario run out and save her himself? No, he's a CEO now. Let the underlings do it. In this case, Mario makes his wind-up miniatures do the job. Coincidentally, this is exactly what I did back in 1998. Work, my little minions. Give Papa the life of luxury he so greatly deserves. In this Lemmings-esque puzzler, it's up to you to control your mindless Mario-like minions through the stroke of your stylus, with the goal being to guide as many minis as possible to the exit gate. You'll also be rotating pipes, pushing buttons, and placing blocks throughout 80-plus vivid and vibrant levels, all for the safety of your minis. Wait, Mario is a ruthless executive now. What does he care? The only reason he's saving his robotic replicas is to use them for ammo against Donkey Kong boss battle. Unfortunately, your brawl with the Mad Monkey features some of the worst moments of the game. The mechanics just don't work that well. Now go, my minions! It's time for that boss battle known as the World. Destroy cultural landmarks. My Sessler bots will know no pain. They know no fear. They are unstoppable instruments of my will. All shall bow before me and despair. Aside from the boss battles, the mechanics work great with the stylus. The only problems we encounter are when two of your mustached minions touch each other. This causes them to turn around and go in the opposite direction. Overall, the game is addictive. New elements are always being unveiled, and the replay value is extensive due to the unlockable minigames and the irresistible urge to score higher medals. We give Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 March of the Minis a 4 out of 5. It is the end game. The world is mine. What's that? A Morgan bot? Retreat, my metal minions. You may have bested me this day, Morgan, but I shall return stronger than ever.
If you're anything like me, and I can't recommend that highly enough, you've heard the phrase, more fun than a barrel of monkeys at some point in your life. I've always been confused by that. Since when are barrels the standard unit of measurement for fun? Worst of all, though, is that it seems like a barrel of monkeys would be more of a hassle than anything else. What with the swinging and the screeching and the flinging of feces. Happily, there's none of that nonsense today. Just good old-fashioned monkey shines in Donkey Kong Barrel Blast for the Wii. Yep, it's a racing game, but forget all those other racing games where you're driving cars or laser-powered hoverbikes. Here you're piloting a barrel-fueled jetpack, which, by the way, is the new method of ultra-exclusive transatlantic flight. Just ask Richard Branson. If you want to speed up your barrels, pump the Wiimote and nunchuck up and down simultaneously, kind of like drumsticks or strangling an annoying sibling. It's all pretty easy to pick up. The learning curve here is steeper than a psych class at Bryn Mawr. The ease in steering, though, is offset by its accuracy. Weaving between smashable barrels and steel ones is a study in momentum loss, so unless you want to end up in 3rd or 4th place, stay away from this kind of gauntlet. You can choose to play either a Kong, you know, characters like Donkey, Diddy, or Dixie, or a Kremling. Oh, you're not familiar with the super popular Kremling crew of cunning crocodiles? Surely you remember characters like, Kip, and this chick. Come to think of it, I'm pretty sure I saw her on the Margate Boardwalk. Margate, anyone? As you zip around the courses, bonuses pop up for you in the form of bananas and balloons. Blue balloons are for the Kremlings, red are for the Kongs. Collect as many as you can. My record is 99 red balloons. For all that, the game is pretty lightweight. There are only 16 different courses, many of which repeat or are simply run backwards. At this point, we expect more variety from our racing games. Heck, some of the racing sims out there have upwards of 50 tracks. Sure, battling it out for top banana is fun and all, but playing this game leaves you feeling kind of empty. A million monkeys programming on a million desktops with a million copies of C++ installed could eventually make this game, and probably one with more options and tracks. Donkey Kong Barrel Blast gets a 3 out of 5.
Pokemon spin-offs come in 2 flavors, innovative and horribly wrong. Pokemon Dash comes from the good folks at Umbrella. Close. The Umbrella Corporation brought us teeming hordes of brain-eating zombies. Umbrella brought us this. Yeah, but let's put the past behind us. Way behind us. And take a look at Pokemon Dash. In this racing-style Pokemon game, you'll scamper around as everyone's favorite lightning rodent as you dash from checkpoint to checkpoint. Race alongside semi-popular Pokemon over roads, forests, swamps, and water. Occasionally, you'll need to take to the air to find your next checkpoint or get over hazards. Hey, I can see my lack of enthusiasm from here. The top screen acts as your radar to find the next randomly generated checkpoint. A straight line will not always be the quickest path to any point, as obstacles will slow down your little Pokemon. Just a reminder, the green is grass, the blobs are forests, and the blue stuff, water. Don't worry about anything else getting in your way. There's nothing else in these sparse levels. You control Pikachu from a top-down perspective on the bottom screen. Move the stylus over the screen in the direction you need this rat to race. This is where the game becomes a pain in the wrist. You'll need to rub and scrub and viciously stroke your way to victory. To get through the different cups and tracks Dash offers, you'll need to find someone used to hours of repetitive stroking. It's fairly clear that Pokemon Dash was rushed like it had its mom knocking at the bathroom door. The game offers only one Pokemon to choose from, Pikachu. There's no unlockable Pokemon, no Poke powers to speak of. You'll be petting your little friend for some time. Up to 8 players can get together to rub, to scrub, to stroke, to molest. This also requires you to find someone else to admit to buying the game. Dash lets you create nearly 400 new tracks by inserting your previous Pokemon game. There's nothing new to the new tracks, just different strokes for different folks. Of course, with this much rubbing involved, you'll want to avoid more sucking. Pokemon Dash starts out as a decent idea, but gets tired like a one-joke review.
What? This is gonna be the best Sunday ever. Oh yeah, right there.
That's why we give Pokemon Dash a 2 out of 5.
There is good news in the world for anyone that has poor depth perception. Capcom has finally released its new 2D game for the GBA. You heard me correctly. Both of the glorious dimensions will be on display for all to see in The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. And they've never looked so good. The world of Hyrule is holding a yearly festival when the inevitable happens. Zelda gets in trouble. She's turned to stone, and once again, Link has to save her.
I always tell her, don't get kidnapped. Pfft, Legend of Zelda should be Legend of that dumb can't stay out of trouble.
Yes, Link is the bearer of a heavy burden. He must journey through the land to reforge a long broken sword. It is the only way to break the curse and free Zelda.
I mean, why is it always called The Legend of Zelda? I'm the one doing all the work. I mean, I gotta fight for a subheading. Link to the Past. Worst pun ever.
The Minish Cap is your typical Zelda fare. You'll run around ripping up vegetation, smashing vases, and stepping on blocks. You'll also find some new friends in the Minish village, and a really annoying talking hat.
A talking hat? A talking hat? I thought that ocarina was a pain in the ass.
You also do some other really, really odd things. Can we show this? And an organ grinder from Nambla shows up in what has to be the most unfortunate positioning of a character in gaming history. Oh, Link, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I did it, but I don't care. See this? This is my new girl.
Who are you?
Take that, Zelda. Come here, baby. Take my hat off. Oh, I miss her so much. Oh, Zelda. Oh, God.
Every fan of the Zelda franchise will love this game. The graphics are the best production the GBA has to offer. Capcom has brought new energy to the franchise while staying faithful to the formula. There is actually nothing bad to say about this game. Unless you count this. You're gonna go blind if you keep doing that.
Hello, is Zelda there?
Link, are you drunk?
Just put her on the damn phone.
Watch it, mister.
Can you just tell her Link called and tell her the Legend of Zelda and the Minish Cap gets a 5 out of 5. What are you looking at?
When will game makers learn that simply unleashing something doesn't automatically make it good? Well, not yet. And Sonic Unleashed is here to prove it once again. By far, the best part about Sonic Unleashed is Sonic himself. If you love the Hedgehog, this game will remind you of what made Sonic great. The speed, the exploration, the scenery. And when it works, it's like being a kid again. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work. One thing that doesn't work is cutscenes. Sure, they look really nice and glossy, and you'll have plenty of time to appreciate their beauty since you cannot skip them, no matter how hard you might try, and scenes can't go fast enough when Chip is involved. And watch out, because they also unleashed the Werehog, one of the worst characters ever to grace the series. He's slow and his sections are a mess. Besides, Sonic is a lover and the Werehog is a fighter. It isn't meant to be. The platforming sections work, but not always. You need to get in a certain distance in order to grapple, but oftentimes that point is when you are midair and swinging from pole to pole. It doesn't always work, and when it doesn't, you die. The camera is also positioned in a way that makes some of the more challenging jumps even harder. And if you like senseless aggravation, you'll appreciate the save points, which are few and far between. When you die, you'll often have to redo big chunks of the stage, and in doing so, you also lose rings and experience. Fun. Don't expect too much from the cities. They're usually filled with boring people that don't really have anything interesting to say to you, just like real life. Occasionally, you'll get a mini mission, but you never feel like you're gaining much from the interactions. The trouble with Sonic Unleashed is that it reminds you of the good times, but only a little. Sonic Unleashed gets 2 rings out of 5.